How does someone know that they want to have a particular experience? Hello, it's Peter Merrick in La Jolla, San Diego, California. And I can only answer that question. How does someone know that they want to have a particular experience? By relating a story when I became conscious in my own life that I wanted to have a particular experience. And this experience changed my life, moved my life into a direction I couldn't even imagine. And it was a critical moment, and I had a critical insight because of this experience. And now I'd like to share it with you. I want to set the stage. It's 1989, 33 years ago. I was finishing my second year of university at York University, Canada's second largest university. There were 60,000 undergrads at this university. It was huge. It was in Toronto. They were having the student elections. And I wanted to run for Vice President External Affairs. This was an incredible position if I could win it. I went about getting 100 signatures with student numbers to be matched because that was a requirement for the nomination form. And the nomination form had to be given in at 4 o'clock on Thursday afternoon. I showed up 3 hours early. I walked by the student government office several times, and before I knew it, I was on the 6th floor of the Scott Library, the main library of the university. And I sat there by myself in a corner, getting myself really frightened. I almost didn't hand in my nomination. I was nervous. And then my own voice in the back of my head came to me. And I'm going to share with you what it said and the insight that I gained, that I actually have used for the entirety of my entire being an adult. And sometimes it's worked for me and sometimes it hasn't, but the lesson I hope that you can use from my experience. I'm sitting there, I'm getting frightened, I'm almost ready not to hand in my nomination form and not to run. And then the voice comes to me and says, "Why are you so scared? What could go wrong?" It wasn't like someone had a gun at me. And then I just said it to myself. I'm scared to put myself out there because I really, really want this experience. What if I fail? What if I fail? And then it dawned on me, I'll never know if I fail if I don't go and try. Go out there and hand in my nomination form. And I handed in my nomination form, and I got elected. And I had an incredible experience. I met prime ministers, I met members of parliament. It changed the course of my life by handing in that application, by handing in my nomination form, that I would never have, and I would not be the person I am today. And I'm very comfortable with the person I am today. And the insight I take from that is if you really want something, you really want to experience in your life, yes, you should be frightened of it because you're putting yourself out there. You're finding out whether or not you can do it. And if you don't put yourself out there, you'll never know. And it's easy to say that I didn't really want it. I want to share with you that I was in the financial services doing financial planning for 25 years, working with really successful people. And I had met people who had lots of regret, things that they hadn't accomplished, things that they wanted to do that they never tried, and they were able to go and watch their lives pass them by. And then what happens is we make justifications for ourselves. If you're really honest with yourself, ask yourself, what experiences do you really want to have? And follow that. What am I doing to have those experiences? Because at the end of our lives, I've asked older people, people who are really old, what do you regret? And you know what they've told me? They regret the things they didn't do more than the things they did. Because you are only given so many days on this earth, and how did you fill up those days? Through making movement towards what you want. You are testing the world out there to actually go and cure the world in here. This is the discovery I had. Now, my last book, I write about Herman Melville. For those of you who don't remember who Herman Melville was, he wrote Moby Dick. He wrote it in 1851. Now, he had two successful books before Moby Dick. One sold 13,000 copies, one sold 17. And then he wrote his masterpiece. 3,300 copies were printed in both the US and in Great Britain. And only 570 of those books ever sold. Could you imagine that? Moby Dick, while he was alive? He died. He died 40 years later in 1891, never knowing how his book would change millions of people's lives, talking about the human condition. Well, in 1923, let's go and do some calculations. This is 72 years after his book came out. This is in 1923. This is 32 years after he died. D.H. Lawrence, who's the top writer in the early 20th century, goes and puts a book together on great American literature. And he is the greatest writer at that point in time in the English-speaking world, in the world in general. And in his book, he says the great American novel, the greatest American novel ever written was Moby Dick. And because there was no copyright on Moby Dick, that's why you and I know about Moby Dick. Well, I've always wondered, how did Herman Melville deal with the fact that he never saw his book reach the heights that it has today? And if you haven't read Moby Dick, read it. I think what would have been worse for Herman Melville is if he had not written Moby Dick and had that regret of never doing it. I know that if I had not done what I had done in 1989, going to the student government office and handing in my nomination form, my life would have been a lot less than it was today. But more importantly, I would have never had that insight. I would have never understood that when I was really frightened of something that I was about to do, and if it wasn't dangerous, I realized the reason why I was frightened is because it was so important for me to have that experience, to experiencing whether winning or losing, but it was important for me to have that experience. And I wanted to share that with you. So I'm going to ask you to ask yourself, what is so important that you want to experience? And do something today to move you towards experiencing that which is important to you. I got a big favor to ask you. I have a little following on YouTube and LinkedIn. Can you do me a little favor? If you like this video, give me a like. Make a comment. I want to connect with you. Share. And if we're not following each other, follow me. Thank you so much for the most important aspect of your life, and that's your time and sharing less than 10 minutes with me. Go out there and have those experiences, and I'll see you next time.